or advertisers of WebMasterRadio.fm. Any rebroadcast or retransmission of this program without the express written consent of WebMasterRadio.fm is prohibited.
WebmasterRadio.fm presents the SES Showcase, featuring the latest news, products, and ideas from the Search Engine Strategy show floor. Now, discover search on a new level. WebmasterRadio.fm presents the SES Showcase.
Now, here's your host.
That's right, everybody. My name is Darren Babin. Do we have me right there? There we go. How are you? How are you, everybody? I would like to welcome you all to a special press conference that we're having here. A big thank you to Incisive Media for helping us pull this off at the last minute. Thank you very much. I would like to start off by saying that WebmasterRadio.fm, we really are a community destination of people that work together in a business that we collaborate on. And our attention is constantly focused on trying to make this a better workplace and a better work environment, more productive and more profitable for not only our companies, but for our clients as well. I think also what I would like to say is Webmaster Radio is very, very much behind the continued growth of the search engine space and the search engine marketing space. With that in mind, we do have some information that has been given to us, and quite honestly, I was as kind of aghast at it at first, and I thought it best that we put together an industry-wide initiative. A lot of the very same people that you hear at the great conferences like you've been here this week at AdTech, a variety of the shows, we are taking the top search experts and we're gathering them together along with click fraud experts, analytics experts, and we are going through a lot of data. And at this point, I'd like to introduce Jim Hedger, who is the host, brand new show host for The Alternative on WebmasterRadio.fm. Congratulations, welcome to the team. This is his story. Jim, maybe you can lay the groundwork for what's going on.
Okay, it's a very complicated story. Everyone remembers the Lane's Gifts and Collectibles versus Google case. That case was never actually brought to open court. A settlement was forced, and the search media and the general public never actually got to understand what happened behind the scenes, what the case was about, and the business practices that the litigants were suing Google over. During the litigation, Lane's Gift had to drop off the case. They could no longer afford to go forward, and AIT Corporation, one of the largest hosting firms on the East Coast, took over as the lead litigant in the Lane's Gift case. As everyone probably remembers, a few months ago, the case was settled. $90 million settlement. A great deal of money went to the lawyers, and a number of free clicks went to Google advertisers who were part of the class action suit. When that settlement happened, the case, as far as most of us were concerned, was closed. But there's still people advertising. I mean, obviously there's still lots of people advertising with Google AdWords. The media and the general public has no idea if Google is doing business the same way they were before the class action was filed, or if any of their business practices have changed, because, frankly, we never got to see under the hood at Google during the court case. The lead proponent of that case, AIT Corporation's CEO Clarence Briggs, came to me with a story. He claims that Google is doing business the way it had been doing before the click fraud case. He claims that there's a great deal of click fraud present in Google's system, and that initiated an investigation by myself and by a number of others in the industry.
We've gathered quite a large group of people who all have now gotten access to this data, and we've all asked them to, on an independent basis, without bias, evaluate this data and then give us their own opinions of what their findings are. At which point, we'll hand that to Google. And Google they're very happy about working with us to understand this better. What I believe our hope is now is, I don't know how old the car is, but I'd like the hood to go up a little higher so we could validate a little bit more of the clickstream data than what we do right now.
Well, and Darren, if we can take a step back a bit, I'd like to note that we have provided Google with the raw logs from AIT, 2 different sets of them, and Google is going to suggest it, and they will correctly suggest that there is a problem with one of those log files. After running the logs through Inquisit, running and having it studied by ClickTracks, who has not finished their study yet, they need some more information. Again, to be fair to Google, all of our information is not entirely in yet, but we do have a number of very solid facts that we're going to be outlining later on in this conference. We will be playing a really explosive interview with Clarence Briggs, probably in 2 or 3 minutes from now. And in this interview, Clarence is going to make a claim that pretty much stopped me dead when I was interviewing him. It was the most explosive claim I've ever heard, and I've done interviews with people for the last 5 or 6 years in this industry, and
I've been around for 10 years, and this one shocked me as well.
Clarence claimed, and so we went off and investigated, and he correct that Google advertising and clickbot networks are being used by underworld organizations, by mafia organizations, and by terrorist organizations. We went and investigated. We found Hezbollah websites. We found Hamas websites. We found Google Orchid sites, and we found Google AdWords on these sites. Did you know that Hezbollah has a Google Orchid site, and that they're running AdWords on that site? Anyone wonder where the money's going to? I did. So going through my growing list of contacts, I was able to get a hold of a man who had been behind the lines in Fallujah during one of what he claims are several attacks by the Army, by the U.S. Army, and he outlines how Google AdWords were used and how ClickFraud was used to raise money for grassroots humanitarian groups, as he phrased it. Anyway, the story is obviously breaking now. We have an extremely explosive tape to play from parents.
And there's multiple prongs here. We're still grabbing one of the files here. The internet guys are back there going, not shocking.
Oh, you know what? We ought to explain something. We're at SES Chicago. This is the last minutes of the trade show. They're tearing down the trade show floor right now. We may lose connectivity at any minute.
Indeed. But before we do this, we've been piled up in a suite upstairs for a number of hours right now, and we've had a number of the top industry experts evaluate a mountain of data that was provided by AIT, Mr. Clarence Briggs. And really quickly, I'd like to get some opinion from some of the independents without any bias. You guys just took a look and made your own opinion.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we noticed first off was that there was definitely major discrepancies between the data that we were looking at when we saw from the Google point of view to Yahoo point of view. So that was our first indication that there's maybe something going slightly astray here. One of the other problems, I guess, was the fact that the campaigns that were set up for Canada and for the US, and there seems to be quite a few, well, a large percentage was coming in from different areas. I'll pass you over to Richard, who's basically his software enabled us to see this, and he'll be able to explain much better than I can.
Thank you, Dave. I'm Richard Zwicky with Enquisite, and it's quite interesting. I didn't know until half an hour ago that the campaigns had actually been set up to run just in Canada and the US. And the number one refer to the AIT site from their PPC campaign through search was Manama, Bahrain, and the number 2 was Sao Paulo, Brazil. One North American city appeared in the top 10, and I believe there was only 2 in the top 20. The data that we were provided is actually quite stunning and does not match with data from comparable sites in a comparable space to the patterns for traffic from any country.
And guys, I'm being told that in about 5 minutes they're going to be ripping up carpet out here no matter what we're doing. So we are going to get a couple of more opinions here, and then within a couple of hours we will have not only what we just said here, but we will also add to that some other interviews, as well as the 40-minute interview with Mr. Clarence Briggs, so you can all have a very, very clear picture of what's going on. Mikkel, you saw the data as well. You're just a couple of minutes.
Yeah, all I can say at this point is that I had the chance to evaluate some of these documents. I have been able to go through the mountains of data, as you mentioned. So all I can say at this point is that it looks like the guy who put this document together did a really good job. The data looks legitimate. There was nothing, we had a few questions about certain issues with the log files. We're getting access to the raw log files. We haven't been actually able to investigate those yet. But it looks legitimate. Nothing seems suspect.
Yeah, thanks, Darren. And from everything that I've seen, all the data that I've seen, we've evaluated.
Jeremy ShoeMoney, by the way, here.
Thank you.
Shoemaker.
Everything looks legitimate, from what I've been shown. It doesn't look doctored or altered. It definitely looks like there's a lot of fraudulent activity going on there.
There you have it. Folks, I think what we'd like to establish is that there's obviously some big discrepancies between what we're being told is click fraud. And let me trade that with you real quick. With what we're being told is click fraud, and as well as how you're handled as a customer or an advertiser after the fact. And that's a very big issue. So what we're going to do is we're going to begin an industry-wide initiative. If you have been involved in large campaign buys that you potentially think you may have incurred some click fraud, we would invite you to email us, Darren, D-A-R-O-N, at WMR.fm, and we will disseminate that to our entire team of people, and we will include that in our very next report. We would like to thank you all for staying late and listening to this. And Mr. Hedger?
Similarly, if anybody has any stories that they want to share, experiences they've had with click fraud, with Google AdWords, or with YSM, or any of the other engines out there, I'm interested in hearing your stories and trying to compile the truth behind this. And I'm interested in helping Google and Yahoo tell their story as well, because there's a side to the story that's not being told right now. There may well be a rational explanation for all this. We cannot, you can't say that Google doesn't have an explanation, and they're going to be invited as part of this series to speak their piece, to explain their side of the story. But if anybody has any information they want to get in contact with me, it's Jim Hedger at marklandmedia.com, MARKLAND media.com. Thank you very much for being here.
There you go, folks, and that concludes our coverage right here from Search Engine Strategies, Chicago. We'll see you next time.
The SES Showcase, featuring the latest news, products, and ideas from the Search Engine Strategy show floor. Only on WebmasterRadio.fm. We're everywhere.